Howdy, folks. Sapper here, aka Sean. I'm bringing you Next War, World War III. What else would it be? I mean, this is, hey, that rhymed too. Obviously, this is going to be on the table for a while. So, where were we? When we last met, I believe it is still turn 4, and I think it's part 4, which is funny because I just watched one of my videos to figure out where I left off. And I was like, oh, I got to remember what turn and what part it is. And, you still forget all this nonsense. So it is the movement and combat segment, the basic movement and combat segment. And we had finished movement. So I had to decide what I wanted to do as far as combat goes. So I briefly looked at, oh boy, looks like my tripod. There we go. So my tripod got bent a little bit. I have a flexible tripod and it somehow got bent. So I looked at hitting this spot and I looked at hitting this spot. And so this spot is bad because you can see, I don't know if you can see. Let's see if we can. There we go. So you can barely see in the bottom of the screen. You've got a city and it's fortified. So that is -4 DRMs right there. Or not DRMs, I'm sorry, -4 column shifts. The fact that we have an American unit with an efficiency rating of 6 means I can't get any kind of efficiency rating advantage unless I use chem, which I considered using chem because that would give me would basically make their efficiency -3. But because of let me back up again. Because even if I included these guys, they're out of supply, so their attack values are halved. So I just couldn't get numbers that looked good. And this is also, I think that's Highland terrain too. So it's an amazing hex if you want to defend it. It's a terrible hex if you want to try to attack it. So I decided to not attack that hex this time. If those guys had been in supply, so if these units here had been in supply, I probably would have gone ahead and attempted it. But I'm not willing to commit that much. Pretty much the same situation here. So I would attack from here, here, and here. Of course, these guys being out of supply doesn't help. It's a little bit better because there's only fortifications. There's not city there, but we've got some pretty good defensive units there. So again, I just couldn't quite. I don't have any air support. So the North Koreans have terrible air support. And what I have left really isn't quite good enough. So basically, this is what I have. You can commit 2 planes for air support, so that'd give me 1 DRM. These guys can't. They have a close air support rating of 0, so there's nothing that they can do. So basically, the out of supply thing came back to haunt me. So I decided to not do any attacks there. I did decide to hit this hex right here. Here's some rough calculations for those hexes up there. So I guess I was looking at 40 to 19, so 2-to-1 odds. In Rough Woods, this one was looking like 54 to 21, so that's 2-to-1 odds in Highland. And of course, -2 column shifts for the fortification, -2 column shifts for the city, so it just wasn't going to work out. So basically over here, I'm looking at 4-to-1, and that's mountains. That's awful terrain. 4-to-1 in mountain. I was able to get 3 column shifts favorable, right? Number 1, so their efficiency rating is a 3 because of the out of supply. So that gives me a +3. If I use him as the lead unit, that gives me a +3 column shift. And then I committed 2 artillery brigades, so that's another 2 column shifts. I tried to throw some air support in there to get me some good die roll modifiers, but between SAM and flak, they were not early detected, they were detected, but between SAM and flak, so that plane would have given you a -1 DRM, and that plane would have given you a -2, but the SAM and the flak Gave them a +1 and a +2 respectively, so basically it evens out to a 0. So we are on the 4-to-1 chart in that hex in mountains. Where is my die? There it is right there. It's underneath my camera. So on the 4-to-1 in mountain, that puts us at on the 8 column. So let's go ahead and roll. We have basically 0 DRMs. This is going to be terrible. 5. All right, looks like the defender takes 2 step losses and the attacker takes 1. All right, so if we look at this, the defender doesn't have 2 to take, so they're dead. And then as the attacker, I'm taking 1. This guy's the lead unit, so he automatically takes, and I believe these are 1 step. Yep, those are 1 step. So he's dead. But that hex is vacated. One of the things that made this one a little bit more difficult is mechanized and armor can only attack into this hex if there's a road leading into it. So basically a road lead. So this whole stack is mechanized, so they could attack, but that mechanized unit cannot attack because there's no road going into there. These are motorized; they're considered leg, and that armor unit could not attack into there either because there's no road that goes directly into there. So what I will do is let me get a control marker because that hex is now mine and the fortifications are going to be considered gone. I'll just move all these guys in there. Boom, there we go. So of all this going, the out of supply really has made a difference this turn as far as what I was willing to commit attacking. So yeah, this one would have been great to knock this American brigade out of there. Whether or not I made them retreat or caused a step loss or was lucky enough to kill them. And of course right there, so try to keep stuff in supply. But that's the hard part, especially with the North Koreans. It's very easy to get ahead of your supply. The South Koreans, not quite as much, even though we do have the refugee issue, which I sometimes forget and sometimes remember. So that's the way it goes. The attack has already happened over here. I don't know if I remember much of it. But let's look. It looks like we were able to... We captured this port. We haven't cleared it yet. Oh, you know what I didn't use over there? I should have used some cyber warfare. But, you know, hey, what's done is done. I still was able to capture that mountain hex, which is a decent thing. And then I think I was just able to move across right there. So that looks like it's it for the movement and combat. So what will end up happening is we will now get ready to move. Actually, you know what? Basic move. Yeah, we don't do the elite or the exploitation stuff now because we're in basic. So now we go to reaction move and combat. We'll do that for both Taiwan and North Korea. So I'll go ahead and get both maps cleaned up. And we'll decide what the Republic of China or the Taiwan army will do, and we'll also figure out what the ROC army or the Republic of Korea. It gets kind of confusing sometimes when you have sides that have very similar names. But I have just conducted the reaction movement segment. I kind of forget where I'm at sometimes. So I just repositioned some of these guys. Things are starting to look bleak. Not as good over here, so I'm starting to try to transfer stuff over that way as much as I don't want to. Taking into account that so far most of the Chinese airborne units are wrapped up here, so it's not like they can pick up and airdrop somewhere over here. They only have one beachhead, or they're only allowed one beachhead, so it's currently tied up right here, I think. So it's not like we can we could do an amphibious assault, but the Marines would quickly be out of supply and probably not make it. So started moving guys this way. Repositioning guys in the city here, again, it's a tough decision. There's two SAGs here. I tried to move them here, but it's a contested move because the inshore box, which is over there, the inshore box is Chinese controlled, so it's considered a contested move. And I rolled terribly, so it was either take a strike 2 marker or abort, so I decided to abort them because of strike 2. If it was a strike 1, I probably would have taken it, but because it was a strike 2, I decided not to. What's going on there? Okay, let's see. And then I just repositioned a couple of units here, so, nothing major. Basically, everything that Taiwan is doing is a delaying tactic, right? We're just trying to stall as long as possible because we can't really go toe-to-toe with the Chinese. And what do we got here? Yeah, we got two infantry units. That river will be a good spot to try and attempt to hold. Yep, he moved forward. All right, so let's see what else. I did move a few. So there was an aircraft carrier in Japan holding box, a carrier battle group, American one, so I moved it into the East Sea. That's not a contested move, so they can do that. What else I wanted to do? I wanted to move this SAG up here. Now that I've got both of those, I'll probably try and move. Next thing I'll probably try and attempt to do is move into the Taiwan Straits so we can try to get some kind of control of that. And then over here, so yeah, that carrier battle group, I had it in this holding box, or this Japan holding box, not on the naval display. So I tend to, again, it's like having redundant things on different maps, right? So you have a Japan holding box, you have a Japan holding box. I don't know if you have one on the Taiwan map itself, but I kind of forgot about that carrier battle group that was here because it wasn't on the big naval display. And then over here, I really didn't do much. I'm not happy with what I have here, but it's about the best that I can hope for, right? These guys, where were they? They were here, and I elected to kind of pull them back. There's a air base, and then you can see that supply depot there. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? I guess I'll move those guys back. And then as I was moving around pieces, I noticed this right here, a supply depot. So these units that were here and here would not have been out of supply, but it was something that I kind of failed to look at because of stacks of pieces. I'm not going to go back and take all that stuff back. So, it's the you snooze, you lose rule, right? So, didn't see it. My fault. So, pulled these guys back. I moved him back. Actually, I can move him back farther now. I thought he could only move 3 because he was out of supply. I can move him 6. Mountains block Zox, so he can move freely. He can go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then is that division? No, unfortunately that's corps. So what I'll do is I'll move him back here. I'll move him here. Dang it, they'll still be overstacked. Yeah, as much as I hate to do that. And then I decided to pull, what is this, the second corps? Second corps, these guys were here and here. I pulled them back so that I can kind of make a stand maybe at the bridges, but who knows what these guys will do. They're starting to push. Of course, they're going to be slowed down due to out of supply. So there you have it. That is the reaction move in combat. And what else? Where else? I think that's it. I wasn't going to do any combat because there's really honestly nothing favorable for the Allies. If you're playing against somebody as the Allies, you're not doing a whole lot of attacking. You're doing a lot of. It's basically retrograde operations, right? You're just kind of stalling the onslaught and praying for reinforcements to come in. So let's see where we're at now. And that was basic movement and combat. So it looks like we're going to isolation, surrender, reorg, reinforcements. So basically, this will be, winding up the end of this turn. So I'll be back when I figure out what I'm going to do and let you guys know. All right, clearing operations. We are at that point. I have 2 clearing operations to conduct, one here in Korea and the other one in Taiwan. So this hex right here. So we have to roll higher than a 3 or a 3 or higher with a +3. So basically if we get actually, you know what? Even if we get a 0, we are good to go. So we'll roll anyway. So you just have to tie the number. So let me get the... All right, so there's that. And then let's look and see what a city is. +2. 2 victory points. All right. North Koreans have been kicking butt. 1, 2. And then over here, we got that's a bad chit to get. So basically, we have to roll higher than a 6. And we did not do it, which sucks because I really wanted that port, and that's the worst clearing marker to get. They don't get any higher than a 6, but we definitely don't want that. So there's clearing operations, and we will continue on. All right, so I have just gone through the reinforcement schedules for each side. North Korea is not going to get any because what they would normally get on game turn 2, I've kind of accelerated them. That was kind of part of my initial scenario setup where I decided that North Korea was posturing, but they didn't want to move units up. So they were getting them ready, but they were keeping them up here. So that was basically the 108th Corps. And then it was not these guys. So all these 425th guys. So those guys that was what would normally come in on game turn 2. So I've already entered those. And so the North Koreans aren't going to get any physical units. They did get some replacements. And I think that's it. But the Marines are going to get all of this. They're going to get 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Battalion, 3rd Marines, 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance. They're going to get a headquarters, an AMF, and then a Cobra attack helicopter. U.S. Air Force is getting all this, which they desperately need. And the Marines are also bringing in some aircraft. And then in Taiwan, this is what we're looking at here. So the Chinese are bringing in another group army, which everything is stacked in Chinese ports waiting to get over. They couldn't get this port here, which would have made a huge difference. And that stacking or that clearing marker is really going to hurt them. So more guys are lined up at the ports ready to come across the Straits of Taiwan, and that's kind of what's going to end up happening. They're going to be just piling up. We have another carrier battle group. Some more aircraft here on the U.S. side. The Japanese are going to throw this stuff in. The Canadians have thrown in some aircraft, and then the Commonwealth, which is Australia, is going to throw in that. So I'll end up placing those on the map, and then we'll see what happens from there. Howdy folks, Zapper here, aka Sean, and I'm bringing you Next War World War III. This is the beginning of turn 5. So this will be turn 5, part 1. Let's see what has happened. So I've gone and put all the replacements down for Taiwan. Rolled the weather, which is clear. Let's see what else is going on here. You can see that there's lots more aircraft on the in the holding boxes now, at least for the Allies. Of course, the Chinese Starting to look a little beat up here. I do believe, so this plane here and this plane here, those were, we combined two reduced units into one. So it doesn't count towards victory points, but they're still kind of eliminated, right? I think they should kind of count as eliminated units, because if you have two half units and you combine them into one, you know, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. Let's see. We have, so it's 32 to, it looks like, what is that, 11? Contested turn. Let's see here. So we have the Republic of Korea. So here's the South Koreans. North Koreans Air Force is just slowly dwindling down. We also have clear weather. I don't have too many. I only have one each of the little weather markers, so I can't put sunshine on all of them. Let's see here. 56 to 21. No, wait, that's supply. To 12. So the North Koreans are kicking butt. Got the supply, out of supply situation here. We landed some Marines over here in this port. Here's our total eliminated units. Again, these are two reduced units. Actually, that would be 4 reduced units combined into 1. Or 2, actually. So when you have, again, 2 reduced units, you can combine them into 1 full-strength unit. Let's see what else. And in breaking news, China has decided to take advantage of the political confusion in the United States, as well as the corona confusion in the United States. They see that we have a moment of weakness. There have also been a series of serious cyber attacks in the United States, so China is going to take advantage of this entire situation, and they have decided that now is the time to invade Vietnam. So the war has been going on in Taiwan so this is turn 5. It's been going on for 2 weeks now. So we are 2 weeks into the war in the Pacific. In Taiwan, China has managed to convince North Korea to invade South Korea, more of as a distraction for them rather than any real any kind of good faith agreement or anything like that. So North Korea doesn't know that. North Korea thinks China is going to, really, really help them out. So China's convinced North Korea to invade South Korea more of as a distraction to get the United States to commit more stuff here and kind of forget about Taiwan. So after 2 weeks of fighting again, China has decided to invade Vietnam. We've got some disposition of forces. I don't know much about the Vietnam. This will be my first time actually playing on the Vietnam map, so this will be definitely a new experience for me. I did have to change out. So this is the 71st Group Army. According to the setup, it's supposed to be, I think it's the 74th, but yeah, it's the 74th. I have the 74th already committed to Taiwan, so I had to switch out. There are differences between the 74th and I think it was the 71st. The 74th has a couple of Marine brigades in it, and the 71st does not. So we've already had, 71st. So the 71st does not have Marines in it. So seen my first conflict that I've caught as far as units go. And then, so here we have on the, let's see if we can, it's going to be hard to not get a glare in here. So we have another carrier battle group here in the Indian Ocean, along with an AMPH. We have, who is this? I don't remember who that is. I know it's the UK. The counter says UK, but I don't think it's the UK because the UK has not intervened. I want to say that this is Australia. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Australia because Australia has intervened at level 2, which means they provide Navy and air. So I believe that's Australia. So let's do, so I've got their Navy or their air in Guam. This is Canada in Guam. So we've got Australians and Canadians have got some of their aircraft in Guam now in real life. So Australia is going to be down this way. So I think Guam is probably the best place to put the Air Force. And actually, let's do. We're going to move that Australian Surface Action Group to Guam as well. These guys are in the Indian Ocean. You can see I do have the Philippines on the map, and I also have the Malaysians. And I also have some Japanese as well. So the Malaysians entered on the non-allied side, so they decided to join China. Philippines decided to join the Allies side. Indonesia, and who's the other one? Indonesia, there's another one. Who is it? Where are you? So that's Indonesia. Who's the other one? Too many units. So that's Indonesia. I think that's Malaysia. So yeah, Malaysia. No, that's not Malaysia. Who the heck is that? The Philippines and Malaysia, Indonesia, and why are they not on the map? All right, it's bothering me. I'll be back in a second. Thailand. So Malaysia, non-allied. Philippines, allied. And then we have Indonesia and Thailand. So neither one of those has committed to either side yet. They decided to remain neutral. I've kind of got my little homemade tracker here. So you're kind of looking at it upside down, but you can see, so these are everybody's that allied with the U.S. or the ally side, and then everybody's that's allied with China. Of course, these guys are all on the ally side. Japanese ground forces. So I know I recall seeing an old rule or something in the North Korean GSR. Japan will not invade, or they will not they will not send ground forces into North Korea, or excuse me, into Korea until either Japan is hit with missiles or there are North Korean troops below this mark right here. So that's a long way to go. So it's the 12 row. So you have to be on the row 13 or farther south for the Japanese to actually put ground forces onto the Korean Peninsula. So we probably won't see Japanese ground forces, but we will see their Navy, and we will see, we can see, well, their helicopter can only reach to the Ryukyus. Well, of course, we could also see the helicopter reach to do strikes on the peninsula. So basically, it's going to be their air forces and surface action groups that we're going to see any kind of movement out of. So there you have it. It is. It was interesting before. It's going to get super interesting now, just because I'm basically playing 3 games at a time here. So yeah, it's gonna take a while. There's tons of chits. These guys are just waiting to be thrown into battle. That's their whole purpose in life, is to just sit there and wait. So, yep. We have got Vietnam involved now. Well, China has decided to involve Vietnam. All right, so there you go. It is turn 5, turn 3, turn 1. All right, we'll be back in a little bit once we get some of this knocked out. All right, so I'm going through I'm about ready to do the initiative phase. But random events fall into that. So the allies rolled one helicopter maintenance or something, rotate one enemy helicopter to no missions. So I picked that one up there. And then the Chinese got emergency aircraft repair, where you can move one aircraft from the flown or recovery box to the flown, or there's no recovery box, but there's one there, to the ready box. So there was only one aircraft in there, which was that one. So I went ahead and moved that one. So I'll do random events for each. I won't do random events for Vietnam, but I'll do random events for Korea. So hold on a second. All right, so let's roll for the Allies. I can't see that. So that is a 10. Sleeper cell. Immediately conduct one SOF mission with a -2 DRM. So I'll do that in a second. Here go the North Koreans. So that's an 81. Friendly fuel shortage. Place an out-of-supply marker on a friendly motorized or mechanized unit. This may not be removed in the first supply phase. So it looks like the North Koreans are going to continually be plagued by not being in supply. So I need to remember, the big thing with this one is this cannot be removed in the first supply phase. So let's find somebody who's not on the front lines. You know what? We'll pick this guy way over here. Yeah, that guy's not going to be doing a whole lot anyway, so no big deal there. So we need to figure out, we get to do a free Special Forces mission with a -2 DRM. Let me mull that over for a minute, and then I'll get back with you. All right, so I have decided to do a Special Forces raid to try and take this bridge out right here. So we will see what happens with that. That is, it looks like, I'm not a big fan of the way they decided to do terrain on this particular map. That is rough woods. So I get a -2. And then it's another -1 versus the bridge, because it's a bridge mission. So I think I get a -3 on that. Let's go ahead and... So that bridge is destroyed. So that is going to be really good thing for the... that will be a good thing for the Allies. One thing that I forgot to do, and again, you forget to do a lot of stuff when you're doing this on your own. At the end of any movement segment, you can try to repair bridges, which I didn't see that. So, you know, hopefully all the errors that I make, they'll just kind of balance out. Over time, they should balance out. So anyway, that takes care of the random events. Now let me look at... So the UN resolution die roll has to be a 10 or higher. I think it's a +2 because of intervention levels and such. So that was almost a 9. So anyway, so it looks like the UN is not going to intervene in North Korea. Let's see if the UN intervenes in Taiwan. So again, a +2. So that's a 2. So there will be no UN intervention at this point in time. All right, on to electronic detection. So I've kind of got, you can see where the cubes are next to the headquarters and who I want to try to detect. So The red ones are the non-allies, so they get a -2. So basically, if we roll a 4 or lower, we'll detect that headquarters. All right, so there we go. So he is detected.
Look at the growth rate of all those harms compared to, how fast has Congress passed anything to deal with it? Like basically not at all.
They seem a little bit
All right.
hesitated in that regard. Like
there we go. So because I rolled 2 successes, I'm going to move one of these over to, we'll put it over here. So then we'll roll twice on that one, 4 or lower, and he's detected. And I guess I'll carry that one over. There's only one other headquarters on the map, so he'll be detected as well. So all of them are detected. There we go. That's how we'll do that. Now we're going to try to detect that one, and then there's 2 headquarters in here. So we need a 4 or lower. So let's just roll this stack first. So honestly, let's look at it this way. We have 6 attempts. So there's 1 success, 2 successes, 2 successes. So which headquarters, which 2 headquarters do I want to detect? I think it's just easier to do it that way.
Are you allowed to have JFK conspiracy theories? Are you allowed to have flat Earth?
We'll say that one's detected, and then who's this other one?
So I think their policy is evolving in the direction of
we'll do that one.
Causing offline harm. When online content is known to precede offline harm, that's when the platform.
There we go.
Platforms are acting. What offline here to?
All right, so the North Koreans get a total of 5. One of those is, so it's normally a 2 or lower. One of those is a Chinese one, so it gets a 3 or lower. So we'll roll for the Chinese. That's a success. And then we have 4 other attempts at 2 or lower. That's 2 successes. Good grief. All right, so 3 successes for...
The policy teams that work on this are coming up with their own standards.
3 successes for the North Koreans. Where is my cup? Let's detection markers. Here we go.
Facebook trying to come up with a policy that will be universal to all the countries.
Let's get that 2nd Division, 2nd Infantry Division. Let's get that Marine Corps one. And
I actually believe Zuckerberg when he says, I don't want to make these decisions. I shouldn't be in this role where my beliefs decide the whole world's views. And to be sure of that, but the problem is he created a situation where
let's do that blue. Well, I don't know. The blue one. Yeah, we'll do the blue one. All right. And now the Allies get 7 attempts. Let me check and see what they need to roll. All right, so on a 4 or lower, I've got 7 attempts. So there's 1 success. There is 2 successes. There is no successes and 1 more roll. So that's not successful. So 3. I need to figure out what 3 headquarters I want to detect. All right, I definitely think I want to do that one. This one is only good for the artillery. And if you notice too, if you look at that guy, so he has no superscript on his 0. So basically his only function is to extend supply for these artillery units. That's the only function that headquarters has. So how many detections? I had 3. I think I will get that one. Put you, and then let's see here. think I'll do. This is tough.
Go into Ethiopia, to go into Myanmar, to go into the Philippines or whatever, and providing these solutions, and then it breaks the.
Where's that red one?
And they're now in a position where they have to fix. There's actually a joke within Facebook.
Why is he?
Which countries will be quote unquote.
I think there might have been a strike marker on him. I'm going to leave it that way. There's so many chits that you have to try to uncover sometimes. It's just like, I don't know what I was going to do there. But he is rotated sideways. He would have been that way if there was a strike marker on him. I can't remember. I'm not going to go back and watch the video. Yeah, see the same with that guy right there. Don't know. Oh, man. There's a bunch of guys. That guy, too. Oh, okay. You know what? These out-of-supply headquarters have no... That's at least the answer for those guys. The out-of-supply headquarters have no capabilities. I just didn't rotate them. That's what happened there. So once they get into supply, then they will have capabilities. That does not explain that one right there. So I'm going to say he had a strike one marker on it. You know, at the end of the turn, you remove all strike one markers. So I'm going to say that that's what happened there. All right, what's going on next? All right, now to Vietnam. Hopefully, because of where this map is sitting, hopefully the glare is not going to be too bad. But, I mean, I can see it right there. But, you know, what can you do sometimes? If you're going to have plexiglass on there, you're going to have glare. If you don't have the plexiglass, you still get glare. Probably might not be as bad, but whatever. So anyway, the Chinese, they get 4 attempts. So these 3 get a -1. This one gets a no DRM, so we got to roll a 3 or lower and a 2 or lower. So let's go ahead and roll. No detection, no attempts. It's the last Chinese, that's successful. And then, let me roll that again. That was a pathetic roll. All right, so that's successful too. So 2 successful detection attempts. Yeah, I'm about ready to run out of detection markers. All right, where are Vietnamese headquarters? I know nothing about this map. This is the first time I set it up back when I set up everything else, and I haven't really looked at it since. Well, looks like he's close to this stuff going on here, so we'll put one on him. Do they have a Supreme headquarters? They do, right there in Hanoi. Okay, we'll put one over there. The Allies get a ton of detection attempts. They get, looks like 8. There's probably not even that many headquarters on the board. So we need to roll 4s or lower, I believe. I'm not heading a mile down the thing over there, or actually to see my book over there. I think it's 4 or lower. So we'll just roll. We get 8 attempts. So there's 1. There is 2. There is none. And there is 2. So we have 4. I think. So I know it looks like there'll be 1 headquarters, 2 headquarters. Yeah, there's 3 Chinese headquarters. So all of those will be detected. All right. Yep, there you are. Where's that one? There you are right there. And the last one is right there. There we go. Now, Special Operation Forces phase. There's only one place where the initiative is, or there's an initiative turn, and that's here in Vietnam. Korea and Taiwan are both contested, so there is no first Special Operation Forces phase. So I need to go over there to get my, let me get my, ooh, almost fell down. I'm getting old. Looks like, let me get these guys. Wait a minute. Hold up. I think that's these guys. All right. I'll be back in a bit when I figure out who's doing what. All right, so one thing that I almost forgot to do is I almost forgot to do this stuff. This is all prior to game turn 1 things. So I didn't do naval detection. Actually, you know what? I don't have to worry about it. These guys are automatically detected no matter what because they're in port. And then all the Chinese naval units kind of are already in play already. So I kind of just skipped that. I did launch 10, not cruise missile, but 10 ballistic missile attacks. I did 2 special forces phases, and then I moved half of the Allied air units of each type into the flown box. So let's go over the results of the missile attacks and the special forces attacks. So we launched a ton of missiles here at this southern, that's an installation, so destroyed that. We got a strike 2 on that airfield, strike 1 on that airfield. We destroyed that installation. 3 missiles, only managed to get a strike 1 on that. Let's see, now what else did we do? We managed to reduce the, well, I'll get over to that in a second because once I get up then I can cover that stuff over there. But the ADF tracks, we did some special forces raids on the ADF tracks. So let's see, we successfully interdicted this road, and that was crazy because normally I don't get good rolls in that. We successfully interdicted that road, and we successfully interdicted that road. So basically, if I read the rules correctly, supply can be traced to, so in any military region, so if it's going to be hard to see, but like see this dotted line right here, that everything to the north of that is the first military region. So units in the first military region can trace supply to any city in that region. I believe this is the only city in military region 1. So I was trying to interdict these roads to knock these guys out of, well, these command posts don't really count, but trying to knock these 2 guys out of supply. And I believe, and this guy too, nope, he's in a city. So he'll be in supply, but these guys here will not be in supply. I think I got that right. I also tried to interdict here, and that's it. But those were not successful. I did not successfully target this guy. I did successfully target this guy. And I think that's it. So I lost. This guy doesn't count because this guy is for the first Special Forces phase. So 4 survived out of all that, 2 did not. So when I get to the first Special Operation Forces phase, I'll have 5 missions. All right, so these guys can go to the eliminated box. So now we'll go to the ADF tracks. So these guys were, so they're at 4 and 3. So they were here and here, and I managed to knock those guys down quite a bit. So that was very good. The collateral damage from the missile strikes reduced these 2 guys. So I had to remove half of each type of air unit into the flown box. So there was 4 Su-27, so half of those are 2. There were 3 Su-30s, so you have to round up. So 1.5 is rounded up to 2, so 2 of them go down here, and half of 1 rounded up is 1. So there we go. That is that's the results of the prior to game turn 1 stuff. Now I go to the first Special Operations Forces phase. So now I can do all this all over again. I think what I need to do is I need to double check that interdiction stuff again really quick just to make sure. All right, so after looking at supply, we can, any military, you can use cities to supply. So I think it doesn't matter what military region it's in. So it's not like first military region cities can only supply units that are in the first military region. They can supply anywhere. So supply is going to be tricky in this one just because there's little cities all over the place. But, so I've reallocated. So I've got 2 to the air defense track. I've got 2 to attempt to interdict individual hexes. Another 1 to interdict there. And how many did I have? I think I had 5 total. So let's roll for the detection tracks, or SAM and detection, 1 for each. Black will be SAM. So 6 and 7, that is not good enough for anything. Let's roll for survival. It looks like it's -2, so that 9 is a 7. Yep, so one of them dies. It'll be the Chinese one that dies. Let's see here. We'll try to interdict that hex. It's in the jungle. We need to basically roll a 3 or lower. That is a miss. And he successfully survives. So that's no good. And then we'll just do, so this is this hex. That will be successful. So a 1, that is an interdiction 2. And then let's see if he survives. He survives. And then we will go here for that hex. That's a 3. I believe that is successful. That is an interdiction 1. I didn't really need to do both of those, but I wanted to make sure that hopefully one of them failed. Luckily, both of them succeeded. And he survived. So we lost 1 more Special Forces unit, and those 4 survive. All right, so I have allocated things in the air superiority box. It's going to start getting interesting because there's a lot of moving parts now. So this is basically the Korea box. These little cubes just remind me where they came from. So the blue cubes, that means they came from Japan. Everybody else came, well, the carrier guy goes to the carrier, obviously, but everybody else came from South Korea. Here we go for the Taiwan. So this guy came from Guam, and this guy, Japan, the Japanese plane obviously came from Japan. So the PRC, this is the Vietnam operational map. So it's 1. So even a medium range planes, which I think is all of them. Yeah, I don't think they have any short range. Oh, yeah, they do. These little dudes here. So all these guys can fly missions in Vietnam. So I'm not going to do it. Vietnam only has 1 plane that they can use, so they're not going to actually send them up for the air superiority step, so no big deal. Interestingly, Malaysia has this fighter here. It's a medium range. If you look, Malaysia's here, so they can only get to the Spratlys. So honestly, I don't even know. They're going to have to end up rebasing if China wants to get them involved in stuff. Seems kind of like a waste, but whatever. So there you have it. That's what this is pre-resolution step. A lot of planes. It's looking grim for North Korea, but they're gonna hold on for as long as they can. I don't know. China, it's looking a lot worse for China now in Taiwan because a lot of the American forces are getting in there. So I'll get back with you when I get all of that resolved. All right, so I have just wrapped up the air superiority phase, and it really wasn't a shock on the North Korean side. So they had one plane aborted. All these were destroyed. So that is 1, 2, 3, and I think there's already a half in there. So that might be 4 VPs for the Allies. They did get lucky and they aborted all these guys. They sent them back home, but that's what we've got left right there. So North Korea, not too bad. There was a little bit of a surprise on the China side. So this is what the final air superiority is. So both sides are contested. The AWACS level didn't change because there's no level of air superiority. But the Chinese did get lucky and they killed an F-35, which I was kind of surprised at that. And then we sent one Chinese plane packing. That plane was aborted, but the Allies managed to abort all those guys. So I guess that's kind of a win-win for the Allies, I think. So let me see. We had this guy was aborted too, which that's kind of a pain. So yeah, our stealth, not a good showing for the stealth. They have one stealth plane, and it's still in the air superiority box, so that's good. But so basically, I think in these situations, that one might not have been, but I know that one was a stealth on stealth. So basically, they went right to dogfight, right? Because the rules say that stealth cannot be attacked in the long range or standoff phase. So we went right to dogfight with those guys. So aborted, damaged aborted, and then the Japanese plane, F-15, was aborted. But we sent a lot of Chinese planes packing, so it will start to, in future turns, that'll start to make a difference. But yeah, that was that loss right there was a little bit hard to take. I don't know if F-35 can be replaced. They probably cannot be. I think your more common aircraft like your F-15s, F-16s, F-18s, things like that can be replaced. I don't think these can. So again, contested for both sides, and I didn't update the AWACS advantage at all. So air superiority, or the air naval phase, or the air phase is done. Now we got to do the naval phase. So I think that's probably going to be it for today. So I look forward to hearing your comments about anything, and just keep on watching. But if I'm not able to do anything, I should be able to do something the rest of the week. But if not, you guys have a Merry Christmas or whatever holiday it is that you celebrate.